Each woman believes her selection in love is free, but biology's unseen script dictates her choice. Neuroscience now names what Machiavelli knew. Emotion can be guided. He saw feelings as tactics, aware attraction is chemistry, not verse. Trust is her bond via oxytocin. Dopamine drives the pursuit. Cortisol sears pain into memory. The skill is timing, not seduction. Provide warmth to activate the brain's reward, then pull back. Rarity intensifies want. Philosophy's free will is frequently illusion. Psychology's learning is just repetition masked as decision. Machiavelli termed it mastery, the nuanced art of influence. Yet each woman thinks it is love, as her brain follows old pathways that have ruled hearts for ages. The science of attraction, the hidden narrative of desire. Each woman believes she selects her lover. She relies on her heart, her mind, her preference. But science shows the truth starts well before logic stirs. Deep in the brain, in primal zones, chemistry silently starts its own narrative. Research from Harvard and Zurich indicates when a woman encounters someone, her brain assesses in milliseconds, lightning fast. Before her awareness, her nerves decode faint signals. His vocal tone, his steady gaze, his smell, his poise or assurance. These small cues solve basic queries. Is he harmless? Can he defend me? Can he comprehend me? The replies come as feelings, not words. What seems like destiny or enigma is really biology's speed. Evolutionarily, this quick assessment once ensured survival. In past eras, a woman's partner choice dictated security, aid, and defense. Her system learned to detect threat or safety immediately. The world is different, but those instincts persist, now rendered as current feelings. A woman now may not fear beasts, but her mind still reads a man's presence as safety or threat. This explains the magnetic pull to one with no reason and indifference to another, ideal on paper. Neuroscience reveals a chemical flood. Dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline starts nearly at once. Dopamine drives interest and thrills. Oxytocin delivers comfort and belief. Adrenaline boosts focus and raises energy. Combined, they ignite recognition, not love, the body's old signal that this person is significant. This doesn't render love robotic. It makes it amazing differently. Attraction's spark is nature's call. The opening of a tale, the heart and mind go on to pen. Understanding how biology molds emotion gives a woman insight, not just impulse. Every woman knows that unseen tug, the instant logic recedes and a bond seems fated. Yet beneath that tug is an evolutionary map, old code vibrating under today's world. To perceive it deepens the magic, it doesn't end it. For when she grasps attraction's science, she isn't losing her liberty. She gets the strength to decide how her narrative develops, the psychology of power and want. Niccolò Machiavelli never studied love. He was a power strategist. He analyzed how sovereigns earned allegiance, how figures kept command, and how sway could mold human action. But concealed in his political concepts was a deep grasp of feeling. He saw the same drivers move hearts as move nations. Machiavelli thought human conduct is governed by two strong feelings, fear and hope. Fear ensures compliance, hope ensures connection. With both feelings active, people get stuck in an emotional loop, too scared to exit, too hopeful to quit waiting. They exist in steady tension, awaiting the next signal of acceptance or solace. Ages after, new psychology and neuroscience proved what Machiavelli just sensed. When one endures shifting periods of warmth and coldness, the brain emits dopamine, the chemical linked to want and expectation. This isn't love's chemistry, it is expectation's chemistry. The individual gets hooked, not on the partner, but on the emotional ride of awaiting the next prize. Research from Stanford and Cambridge indicates random rewards spur more dopamine than certain ones. This implies erratic warmth, affection then retraction, causes the brain to value that affection more. The ambiguity fosters emotional fervor. What seems like passion or fate is usually the mind's response to sporadic reward. Machiavelli grasped this interplay well before science named it. He observed citizens loving scary rulers, lovers holding to confusing partners, and followers revering leaders blending harshness with favor. This purposeful switching of notice and disregard wasn't chance. It was tactics. He knew it as a most ancient, effective tool of sway. Now psychology terms it intermittent reinforcement, rewarding acts at random so the receiver wants more. It's the identical process in gambling habits, social media use, and harmful bonds. The randomness itself grows addictive. When a woman endures this emotional chaos, she might confuse it for depth or fervor. Yet frequently, it's her biology reacting to inconsistency. The scarcer the warmth, the more precious it seems. Machiavelli noted it in governance. New science confirms it in the brain. The Machiavellian model shows an eternal fact. Blend kindness with ambiguity, and the human brain seeks safety. But real love doesn't come from control. It springs from security and clarity. Grasping this interplay doesn't weaken emotion. It makes it smarter. When a woman spots the model, she gets the strength to exit it for something genuine. The craving loop, how dopamine molds want. Within each human brain exists a small, strong chemical agent called dopamine. It's frequently called the pleasure chemical. But that's just partial truth. Dopamine won't make you happy upon getting your wish. It drives the want for what you are nearing. And that distinction alters all. Scientists at Stanford and other neurocenters found something intriguing. Dopamine surges not at reward receipt, but during its anticipation. The instant before a good event, the pause, the ambiguity, that's when the brain activates. It's why the pursuit can feel more exciting than the capture. As attraction starts, the brain foresees small payoffs, a message, a grin, praise, a sensation. Every clue ignites expectation, and that expectation spurs dopamine. But if those cues are erratic, sometimes present, sometimes not, dopamine spikes more. This model, termed intermittent reinforcement, is the identical rule holding people at slot machines or checking their phones. The prize isn't constant, and that randomness makes it compelling. Thus, when one shows interest then vanishes, the mind doesn't calm. It accelerates. Ideas cycle endlessly, rerunning talks, picturing results, needing resolution. It isn't fixation, it's neurochemistry. The brain hunts its next dopamine high. In the past, this process kept humans seeking sustenance or security. Now, it frequently snares us in emotional ambiguity. In current bonds, this chemical cycle can seem like passion. The stress, the enigma, the peaks and valleys, they seem heady as dopamine feeds on tension. But when stability comes, when love is secure and steady, dopamine signals drop. The thrill wanes, and many mistake that dip for lost fascination. It isn't love vanishing, it's just the brain's want loop concluding. Grasping this cycle returns control. Attraction is biology moving, not magic or enigma. When you spot the craving, you can move beyond it. True connection starts in the quiet after, not the chaos of doubt. When want yields to belief, and chemistry becomes decision. The chemistry of bonding, how oxytocin molds trust and connection. Each woman recognizes that calm, kindling feeling that comes with true safety. When a touch is gentle, a gaze is honest, or talk is easy and true. That solace is chemical, not just emotional. Deep in the brain, a tiny potent hormone, oxytocin, is key to that sensation. Known as the bonding hormone or love chemical, oxytocin helps mold human connection, trust, and close bonds. Oxytocin flows in close moments, a hug, held hands, a steady look, a real talk. For women, its levels peak higher in deep physical or emotional closeness. It's the identical hormone letting mothers instantly bond with babies and friends, forge enduring trust. A key study in Nature showed oxytocin's profound influence. In one test, subjects given a nasal oxytocin dose trusted strangers more, despite financial risk. They didn't consciously know why they were more secure or open. Their minds just reacted to the substance. The results proved what minds like Machiavelli had long guessed. Trust is not all reason. It has biological triggers. In daily life, oxytocin is the unseen fiber connecting people. When a woman feels nurtured or heard, her brain gifts her with calm, warmth, and ease. Her pulse eases, stress chemicals fade, and her system signals security. This explains why love and safety often seem like one feeling. But this potent chemistry has a shadow. As oxytocin builds trust and ease, it can make women ignore red flags. Someone giving attention can spark a strong chemical bond, though his behavior is erratic or damaging. With time, repeated close contact reinforces that path, making choice habit or dependence. This won't make love less true. It just shows its biological basis. Oxytocin developed to aid human survival by forging strong romantic and social ties. In today's world, though, this instinct can cause quick or deep bonds with unsuitable people. Grasping oxytocin lets women regain emotional command. Knowing safety and warmth stem from chemistry, and feeling permits pause and decision. Oxytocin can forge deep, real love, yet it can blur insight. Real power is feeling the bond, but seeing the reality beneath. The chemistry of memory. How cortisol shapes love and healing. Cortisol is frequently called the stress hormone, yet its role is far deeper than just causing tension or worry. When an intense event occurs, a row, a split, or abrupt quiet from a loved one, the brain sends cortisol to aid response. It belongs to our old survival mechanics. Millennia ago, this response kept people vigilant to threats. Now, however, that identical process can make psychic pain feel as lasting and true as a bodily injury. Studies from Yale and other neuro-experts show high cortisol bolsters emotional recall. When a woman endures something profound, joy or grief, cortisol aids her brain in logging the event vividly. Evolutionarily, this was logical. Recalling strong feelings guarded people from reliving bad scenarios. In love's domain, though, this survival tool can become a snare. This explains why many women keep reliving identical moments, the last text, the conflict, the instant he left. Months later, those recollections can return with stark clarity. It isn't emotional frailty or weak willpower. It is the brain's chemistry functioning. Led by cortisol, the brain marks those times as vital for survival. The system logs chaos far more strongly than peace. When the heart shatters, the body notes. In a bond full of peaks and troughs, the emotional chemistry gets addictive. Thrills emit dopamine, the pleasure agent, as worry lifts cortisol once more. Combined, they make a cycle: expectation, payoff, and dread. In time, a woman might get hooked on the pattern, not the partner. Neuro-experts term this emotional conditioning, a model where the system mistakes strain for bonding. This is why serene love feels strange or boring post-turmoil. The brain, used to cortisol spikes, reads calm as void. Yet awareness alters all. When a woman gets that her sharp memories are biological marks, not frailty, she can start separating feelings from hormones. Recovery starts with knowing. Seeing that cortisol honed those memories helps her cease self-blame for recall. It's biology overperforming, not fixation. In time, habits that lower cortisol, awareness, soft routines, movement, full breaths, rest, and kind talk, help recondition the brain. Every serene event shows the body that security, not strain, is the new standard. Slowly, fresh, calm recollections supplant old, harsh ones. What felt etched in rock starts to ease into insight. When a woman feels chased by history, she is human, not damaged. Her system logged the turmoil to aid her later choice of peace. Grasping cortisol is self-kindness, not just science, the start of loving with calm, not fear, the psychology of emotional scarcity. In psychology, a notion exists called intermittent reinforcement, that random rewards build the toughest habits. When the brain can't predict the next prize, it remains vigilant, optimistic, and wanting. That perpetual waiting becomes addictive on its own. Picture a gambler at a machine. Mostly they lose, but periodic wins are just enough to hold them. Every minor victory sparks a dopamine flood, the brain's pleasure agent saying, "Nice! Do it again!" The gambler continues, hunting the next jolt of joy. This identical model surfaces in emotional bonds. When warmth, notice, or care are given erratically, one day ample, the next gone with no reason. The brain reacts just as the gambler's brain does. A high of pleasure with the affection, then a hard fall in the quiet or refusal. The brain starts asking, "What mistake did I make? How do I regain their love?" This loop isn't from frailty, but from the brain's innate search for familiar, comforting patterns. Rarity boosts worth. When warmth is scarce, its reappearance seems vital, like it signals something more. This is a mirage. It is not real love gaining strength. It's the mind holding to doubt via chemical training. Behavioral psychology studies reveal random prizes cause bigger dopamine spikes than reliable ones. That is why steady, calm love seems stable but flat, as erratic warmth feels intoxicating. The mind confuses turmoil with passion. Grasping this shows the reality. Rarity is not love, it is control. When a woman sees inconsistency as a strategy, not a measure of her value, she can escape the loop and select bonds that seem safe, real, and steady. The fantasy of free choice. Each woman trusts she picks her partner. But philosophy and science both suggest the truth is more complex. For ages, minds debated if humans have real free will or if unseen drivers shape our decisions. New biology adds to that discussion, showing that pure feeling is often a chemical cascade inside the brain. Instincts, hormones, and recall combine well before the brain is conscious. Attraction seldom starts with logic. It starts with biology. A look, a fast pulse, a rush of oxytocin and dopamine. At once, she feels warmth and a bond. These responses are old survival tools. Ages past, they aided women in finding security, company, and life's continuation. In today's world, though, these primal signals can deceive, making chemistry seem faded, though it brings agony. This is the fantasy, that love is an entirely free decision. In reality, the brain's circuitry partly forms that choice. The brain wants the familiar or exciting, even if it's toxic. This is the reason some women land in the same bonds repeatedly. It isn't low intelligence or strength, it's the system running an old script designed for safety, not wisdom. Seeing this restores power, it doesn't end it. Insight changes reflexive impulse to deliberate decision. When a woman detects the chemical drive in her feelings, she can stop and ask, is this new interest or old training? Is it a thrill or a rerun? In that stop, she moves past illusion. Thinkers term this self-mastery, the skill of moving with insight, not routine. Neuroscience terms it engaging the prefrontal cortex, the brain's logic hub. Both name the same freedom. When a woman grasps her biology, she starts to steer it, not be steered by it. The science of bonding, how mirror neurons mold trust and feeling. Concealed deep in the human brain is a remarkable web called the mirror neuron system. These unique brain cells fire when we act, and also when we see another do that same action. When a woman sees someone else smile, her mirror neurons gently activate the same smile-producing zones in her own brain. It's like her brain murmurs, "I get your feeling." This reflection is empathy's biological center. Why we laugh with others' laughter, are touched by tears, and feel love as one emotion. When a man unknowingly copies a woman's voice, moves, or breath pattern, her brain starts to note likeness. This feeling of being mirrored lets her feel perceived and comprehended. Her body unwinds. Oxytocin, the bonding agent, rises, and she senses solace and emotional security. Neuroexperts at Parma University, finding mirror neurons, learned these responses happen instinctively, no conscious thought needed. The human mind links likeness with belief. More social neuroscience work shows that aligned acts, speaking at a like pace, copying posture, sharing expressions, boost emotional bonds. When two people engage in sync, even their pulses can start to align. A woman won't consciously parse this. She just feels nearness and truth, though the mirroring is deliberate. This is why strong communion feels compelling. The brain loves seeing its reflection. That mirroring spurs oxytocin, firms emotional ties, and makes the bond seem real. But mirroring has misuse potential. A controlling person might copy mannerisms, faking a sense of connection. By grasping how mirror neurons function, a woman can tell true empathy from a copy. Real bonding isn't perfect likeness. It is truth, reliability, and regard. With insight, she changes instinct to knowing, and seeing becomes the base of emotional liberty. The strength of self-awareness. Insight may appear a basic concept, but in biology and psychology, it's among the greatest transforming forces a woman holds. To be aware is to pull the hidden, an impulse, a routine, an emotional tripwire, into the open light of knowing. When a woman grows aware, her feelings no longer cage her. Rather than being swept off by them, she starts to see, label, and deliberately pick her response. Labeling feelings seems minor, but it alters the brain profoundly. Studies from UCLA and Oxford show identifying a feeling, e.g., "I'm anxious" as he's pulled back, engages the brain's logic hub, the prefrontal cortex, and soothes the emotional core, the amygdala. This basic act of wording feelings lessens emotional heat, improving control and clarity. As this occurs, the inner chaos starts to calm. Stress agents like cortisol and adrenaline drop, and the system ceases treating ambiguity like a threat. A woman gets room between her feelings and her deeds. She can stop, breathe, and pick her next step, not just react on impulse. Experts term this process affect labeling, the habit of naming your emotion. It sounds sterile, but it is very empowering. By labeling feelings, a woman changes raw responses to useful data. She begins to see models, how dopamine spikes with notice and drops with quiet, or how oxytocin builds bonds, even unearned. This insight lets her see biological drives aren't total fact. They are cues to read, not orders to follow. Insight brings judgment. It doesn't end attraction. It aids a woman in feeling keenly but staying grounded. She can note chemistry but not yield to fantasy. She finds not all sparks mean destiny, and not all quiet means refusal. Insight becomes her internal guide, steering her through feelings without being ruled by them. Real power is mastering your own mind, not controlling another's. When a woman sees her feelings as data, not directives, she retakes her command. What seemed like chaos turns to calm. What seemed like desperation turns to intention. Insight gives feeling purpose. It doesn't stifle it. And in that realization, she doesn't lose her heart. She finds her liberty, from illusion to insight. Ages past, Machiavelli noted real power lies with those who grasp human nature. He wrote of rulers and captains, but his wisdom reaches past courts and war zones. The same drivers that led empires now steer feelings and bonds. Sway, he suggested, is for anyone who knows what moves the human heart. And in today's world, that power isn't just for leaders or plotters. It's for each woman brave enough to know herself. When a woman starts to see her own mind's function, her ideas, feelings, models, and drives, she becomes her own tactician. Dread of control vanishes. replaced by insight. What seemed like enigma or destiny now shows as basic cause and effect. She finds that attraction is not a spell or a flaw. It's psychology and biology mingling as nature designed. The faster pulse, the racing mind, the fever of want. These are bodily cues, not fated orders. Grasping them refines emotion. It doesn't dull it. It lets her feel completely, yet think clearly. Philosophy and science both concur. Insight is freedom. When a woman grasps the psychology of want and bonding, she needn't stifle her feelings or yield to them. She can love profoundly and stay grounded. She can feel desire without getting lost in it. What used to cause confusion now is clear. Her feelings cease being gales that throw her and become currents she can ride. Each manipulation fails once seen. The vague cues, the silences, the warmth, then coldness, once agonizing, now known. She starts to spot models, not enigmas, decisions, not turmoil. What once pulled her to drama now shows her peace. She finds that calm is stronger than stress. She leaves manipulation not with anger, but with insight. Machiavelli thought mastery was knowing others. The best mastery is knowing yourself. When a woman grasps her feelings, her biology, her psychology, none can wield them over her. Knowing changes reaction to response, muddle to wisdom, chemistry to choice. The mystery that once trapped her is the reality that frees her. That is her journey from illusion to insight. If this clip showed you how biology, psychology, and feeling mold a woman's decisions, please pause to like it. It tells me you want real facts, not shiny fantasies. Pass this to a woman who needs to grasp her own strength, as insight builds when we share it. Now, I want to know your view. Did you ever see how pacing, quiet, or doubt pulled you to someone unexpectedly? Post your story below. Your wisdom could be the very alarm another woman requires. And be sure to subscribe to catch every future deep look at the unseen psychology of love, power, and human action.